What if the emotions ruining your life are not your enemy? What if the more you fight them, the stronger they become? You were taught to control your anger, weren't you? You were told to suppress your fear, weren't you? You were told that strength means staying calm no matter what, right? But then why do your emotions keep returning? Why does anxiety knock on your door at 3 a.m.? Why does one comment ruin your entire day? Why does one rejection stay in your mind for years? Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." What if your suffering isn't coming from your emotions? What if it's coming from your war against them? Most people spend their entire lives trying to become emotionless, and that's the first tragedy, because the moment you declare war on your feelings, you divide yourself, you become two people, the one who feels and the one who judges the feeling. Can you see the trap? You are exhausted not because you feel too much. You are exhausted because you are fighting yourself every day. Cruel truth. The emotions you hate are often carrying messages you desperately need. But who taught you how to listen? Who showed you how to understand the language of your inner world? Nobody, and that is why millions of people spend decades trapped inside emotional loops they cannot explain. But what if the real problem is far deeper than emotions themselves? What if the pain you feel has a hidden source that Jung spent his life trying to reveal? And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Have you ever noticed how one small event can trigger a massive emotional reaction? Why does a simple text message make you anxious? Why does being ignored feel like betrayal? Why does criticism feel like an attack? Because the event isn't the real wound. It's touching something older, something buried, something unfinished. Jung believed that much of human behavior is controlled by forces hidden beneath awareness. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Think about that. How many emotions do you call reality when they are actually old memories wearing new clothes? How many times have you blamed the present for pain created in the past? Cruel truth, most people are not reacting to life. They are reacting to unresolved emotional ghosts. You call it stress, you call it bad luck, you call it difficult people. But what if the real battle is happening inside you? What if your strongest emotional triggers are revealing your deepest wounds? You don't get angry because someone disagreed with you. You get angry because they touched an insecurity you never healed. You don't panic because of uncertainty. You panic because uncertainty exposes your need for control. Can you feel the discomfort? Good, because awareness begins where denial ends. But if hidden wounds create emotional reactions, then what exactly is happening inside the mind when emotions take over? Jung had an answer, and it changes everything. Who are you when nobody is watching? And who are you when everyone is watching? Notice the difference? Jung called the mask, you show the world the persona, the version of yourself designed to be accepted, the version built to survive, the version that says, "I'm fine, even when you're falling apart." Jung warned, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But how can you become who you are if you're busy pretending to be someone else? Every emotion you suppress doesn't disappear. It goes somewhere, it moves into the shadow, the hidden side of your personality, the rejected side, the denied side, the side you don't want anyone to see, anger, jealousy, fear, neediness, resentment. Why do you think these emotions keep returning? Because the shadow wants recognition. Cruel truth. The emotions you reject often become the emotions that control you. The man who suppresses anger becomes passive-aggressive. The woman who suppresses sadness becomes emotionally numb. The person who hides insecurity becomes obsessed with approval. The shadow always collects its debt, and the longer you ignore it, the higher the interest becomes. Here is the uncomfortable mirror moment. What if the people you hate most are showing you parts of yourself you refuse to acknowledge? What if your strongest judgments are secret confessions? Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. That should make you uncomfortable, because now the enemy isn't outside. Now the spotlight is on you. But if your emotions are tied to hidden parts of yourself, Why do some people seem determined to trigger them? Why does the world feel designed to keep you emotionally reactive? The answer is darker than most people realize. Why do outrage headlines spread faster than truth? Why do social media platforms reward emotional extremes? Why do toxic people always seem to know exactly which buttons to push? Because emotional people are predictable people, and predictable people are easy to control. Think about it. When you're angry, do you think clearly? When you're afraid, do you make wise decisions? When you're desperate for validation, can you see manipulation? Of course not. That's the point, Jung observed. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls, and many systems depend on that. The news profits from fear, advertisers profit from insecurity, manipulators profit from your emotional blind spots, cruel. Truth. The moment someone can control your emotions, they can influence your behavior. One insult can ruin your day. One opinion can change your mood. One stranger can steal your peace, and they don't even know they're doing it. Isn't that terrifying? You spend years building a life, then hand the keys to your emotional state to people who don't deserve access. You call it sensitivity, but often it's unconscious dependence. The world trains you to react. Rarely does it teach you to observe, because observation creates freedom, and freedom cannot be manipulated. So what happens when you stop reacting? What happens when you finally reclaim ownership of your inner world? Everything changes. Imagine feeling anger without becoming anger. Imagine feeling fear without obeying fear. Imagine feeling sadness without drowning in sadness. What would that do to your life? This is where emotional mastery begins, not suppression, not escape, awareness. Jung wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Read that again. Your emotions are experiences. They are not identity. You are the observer behind them, the witness behind them, the consciousness noticing them. Can you feel the difference? The moment you stop saying, "I am angry," and start saying, "I am experiencing anger," something shifts. Space appears, power returns. Cruel truth. Most people never experience this shift. They spend their lives fused with every emotion that enters their mind. They become their fear. They become their insecurity. They become their pain. And they never realize there was another option. But you do now, because mastery begins the moment awareness enters the room. When you observe an emotion, you stop being possessed by it. When you name it, you weaken its grip. When you understand it, you transform it. And once that transformation begins, your entire relationship with life changes. But how do you actually do this in everyday moments? How do you stop reacting and start transforming? The answer is surprisingly simple and brutally difficult. The next time a powerful emotion hits you, don't run. Why would you run from a messenger? Pause, breathe, ask one question. What is this emotion trying to show me? Not what is it trying to do, not how do I get rid of it, what is it trying to reveal? Jung believed the psyche constantly communicates through symbols, emotions, and reactions. He said, your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. So look, really look. Anger may reveal violated boundaries. Fear may reveal hidden attachments. Jealousy may reveal unlived potential. Sadness may reveal a truth you've avoided. Cruel truth. The emotion is rarely the problem. Your refusal to understand it is. Start journaling your emotional triggers. Why does that comment bother you? Why does that rejection hurt? Why does that success make you jealous? Keep asking why, then ask why again and again. Soon you reach the root, and roots have power, because once you find the root, the symptom loses control. This is individuation, Jung's greatest idea, the process of becoming whole, not perfect, whole. The process of integrating your shadow instead of fighting it, the process of meeting yourself honestly. Can there be anything more powerful than that? And if you continue walking this path, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop chasing emotional control and discover emotional freedom. There comes a moment when the noise fades, a moment when you stop needing the world's permission. A moment when your emotions no longer feel like enemies. Have you felt that moment yet? If not, you will, because every person who chooses self-awareness eventually arrives there, not through force, through understanding. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That's the journey, not escaping darkness, meeting it, learning from it, transforming through it. Cruel truth, the strongest. People are not the ones who never break. They are the ones who stop running from what breaks them. You don't need fewer emotions. You need a deeper relationship with them. You don't need a different life. You need a different level of awareness. And when that awareness arrives, something beautiful happens. The anger becomes wisdom. The fear becomes clarity. The pain becomes strength. The shadow becomes power, and the person staring back at you in the mirror finally feels real. So the next time an emotion rises inside you, don't ask how to silence it. Ask what it came to teach. You best, because maybe your emotions were never your prison. Maybe they were the doorway, and maybe the freedom you've been searching for has been inside you all along. If this message reached something deep inside you, write in the comments, "I choose my peace." And if you're ready to master your mind, embrace your shadow, and become who you truly are. Subscribe now, because your transformation has already begun. The only question is, will you answer the call?